everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country.
All right, folks. Donald Trump just completely exposed Kamala Harris in front of millions on national television. She's a politician with a record that just doesn't match her talking points. During the debate, Trump didn't just call her out, he revealed the gap between her polished rhetoric and the reality of her policies. Let's listen to Trump challenging her on her stance about defunding the police.
She was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please.
Now you can see she vehemently denies supporting the defund the police movement. But this was her stance back in 2020.
Right, in the summer of 2020, when there were protests across the country after a police officer murdered George Floyd, many progressives and liberals were talking about defunding police departments nationwide. One local radio show asked then-Senator Kamala Harris where she stood on the defund the police movement. Take a listen to this.
Defund the police. The issue behind it is that we need to reimagine how we are creating safety. And when you have many cities that have 1/3 of their entire city budget focused on policing, we know that is not the smart way and the best way or the right way to achieve safety. This whole movement is about rightly saying, we need to take a look at these budgets and figure out whether it reflects the right priorities. For too long, the status quo thinking has been, you get more safety by putting more cops on the street. Well, that's wrong.
Now, in another interview that same week, Harris praised Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti for removing $150 million from the police budget and investing that money in social services. Listen to this.
That's a legitimate conversation, and it requires a really critical evaluation. I applaud Eric Garcetti for doing what he's done.
It's hypocrisy at its finest. Trump brought this to light, making it clear that her past actions don't align with her current image. She literally changes her policy stances so much, it's hard to keep up. We all know fracking for oil is vital to Pennsylvania's economy. So watch her try to pander to get their votes, even though she came out against fracking a couple years ago. By the way, watch Trump's reaction as she tries to backtrack from her far-left woke agenda.
I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yes, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands, right? And then there has to be legislation. But yes, and this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue. And to your point, we have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities. Yeah, so thank you.
Kamala Harris is the person at school that does anything to fit in. And to be honest, I can't blame her because it's gotten her this far. A traditional politician with a left-wing agenda, when it's convenient and becomes a moderate by time she walks in the next room. But here's Donald Trump exposing her for the last time in the debate, asking the key question that voters are asking across this country. Your administration has been in office for 3.5 years. You got a plan, so why haven't you done it?
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it, and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Whether it's healthcare, fracking, or criminal justice, she's always shifting her stance to fit the moment, exposing her lack of consistency and showing voters that Harris is more focused on political power than principled leadership. It wasn't just about landing punches, it was about revealing the truth. He exposed her contradictions, her far-left policies, and her inability to stick to a consistent message. That was on clear display for the American people to see. But let us know what you thought about the debate in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.